Nestled at the beginning of the southern Flinders Ranges is the picturesque town of Crystal Brook. Built on the pastoralists who settled the district, Crystal Brook today is a thriving agricultural community.
Crystal Brook's really got something going for it to be continuing over all these years since the 1870s and still to be a thriving community and one that is widely recognised.
It's a hub in the middle of Australia where grain can go to every point.
Crystal Brook is a community that sees a need, determines a solution and then makes it happen with or without external support.
We started our business in precision agriculture about 20 years ago. To have a successful business in precision agriculture, you need the cooperation of very innovative, visionary farmers, those that are willing to embrace new technologies and techniques in farming. And we found those farmers here, right here at Crystal Brook. An example of how Crystal Brook stood out at those times is that one company imported 20 yield monitors into Australia to be retrofitted to harvesters. So we're talking South Australia, New South Wales and Victoria, and nearly 30% of those were taken up by farmers in Crystal Brook. The farmers in Crystal Brook had some of the first yield maps that were made in this state. They weren't content just to look at the maps as they were, they wanted to understand why. Some major steps were taken to engage scientists from the CSIRO, SARDI and the Precision Ag Lab from Sydney. And the farmers locally were quite willing to operate collaboratively with these researchers to explore what was happening on their farms and to use this data for their benefit. Added to that, they were also engaged with the GRDC on a national project where again they made their farms available for research. From our point of view, when we started the business, we were taking some sort of a risk. We were embarking on a new era, and the farmers of Crystal Brook, not only were they willing to explore this further, but they went along on the journey with us. They were prepared to commit, and they knew it was a journey of exploration, not knowing what we would find.
Crystal Brook covers a huge area geographically in what it services. I know that's the case for our business, where we will check paddocks right up the north of the Flinders Ranges, right down to, say, Lock Hill in the south. With that, you do have to collaborate with a lot of people across the area.
Our history goes back now 75 years. So my grandfather, the late Les Perry, started the company. Back then there was probably 70 mobile fuel distributors, where he used to cart actual drums of oil around on the back of a flatbed truck. Now there's only probably one South Australian mobile fuel distributor left in the state. We have 185 staff. Our core business is certainly delivering bulk wholesale fuel direct to farm. It's what we started with obviously 44-gallon drums. Now it's in fairly large prime movers and rigid trucks. We have service stations and depots everywhere, but Crystal Brook is where we began. It's where we want to be forever.
We were looking for a new opportunity in agriculture, so we decided to set up here because it was central. It was a good, reliable agricultural area for South Australia, very central, and Michael could service a wider area as we expanded. So now he moves between Western Australia, Victoria, New South Wales. We have a dealer network. In that time, we've also developed software with our business partners that's used in North America, New Zealand, Canada, and across Australia. We have had some great ag leaders come out of Crystal Brook. Rob Kieran started in agronomy and he moved to be a Member of Parliament, a Minister for Agriculture and eventually Premier. Howard and Ivan Venning were farmers and they became Members of Parliament. Andrew Ingles, a grain grower, was Deputy Chair of the Grains Group of the International Federation of Agricultural Producers. He was Chair of the Grains Research and Development Corporation and Chair of the Grains Council of Australia and many others. Malcolm Sargent, grain grower, was Chair of the Grains section of SA Farmers Federation, Chair of SA Grains Industry Trust Fund and Chair of the Southern Precision Agriculture Association, SPAR. Together with Peter Cousins, an agronomist, was Treasurer of SPAR, Brian Tiller, farmer, feedlotter, he was Chair of SPAR, Pam Pilkington, Finance Officer with SPAR and a member of the Natural Resource Management Board. Michael Wells, Precision Agriculture Consultant, was with SPAR as well, and all of those were Foundation Committee members of SPAR, which is now a national organisation.
Of which Jess Koff is the current president.
Ben Mumford, a farmer, who is Chair of the Livestock section of SA Farmers Federation. Lyndon Price, a grain grower, was chair of the Hart Field Day. Andrew Sargent, grain grower, Nuffield scholar, chair of Nelshiby Ag Bureau. Lindsay Crouch, business owner, member of the Regional Development Board.
As Crystal Brook faced the same challenges as many other rural communities, with governments and large institutions centralising and closing regional services, it rallied to ensure its survival into the future. Despite the closing of its 2 banks, the downsizing of 2 of its largest employers in SA Water and the Department of Infrastructure and Transport, the highway bypassing the town, and then COVID-19, Crystal Brook has not only survived, it is flourishing. This small community of just over 1,500 people is currently home to 48 operational businesses, a large percentage of which support agriculture, and 33 active community groups.
Certainly more integrated into the community, working in a country town in agriculture. I suppose there was a bit of a disconnect in Adelaide, that you were 100% communication on the phone back when I was working in Adelaide. Whereas I suppose in my current role, I get out on people's farms, I see how their businesses operate. I know in most cases all their family. It's much more rewarding role working in the country town I grew up in. When we've had bushfires in surrounding areas in the past, the CFS have been able to base themselves out of the football club to have a shower, get fed. So yeah, the community does come together to support everyone in the district in an event like that.
I think we're just a great little community when it comes to the way that we all help each other out and how we support each other throughout the area. Everyone's really extremely nice to speak to, and no one would normally have a bad word to say about anyone. But yeah, we're just a great little community and a great township of people.
Like our volunteer base is amazing.
Well, there's lots of charities in the area, and farmers wanted to donate to those charities, so they came to the storage and handlers and said, can we open up, you receive that grain for that charity? Instead of the grain going into the farmer's name, a portion of that load went into the charities. When we came here in '93, people did know me because I delivered grain to Crystal Brook. We had a Down syndrome child still going to primary school. The community here gave us great support. It was a great place to bring Nikki up, and we really appreciate that as a family. And of course we've got good facilities with our hospitals and chemists also, which is you really got to have if you have a child with a disability.
So I'm Richard McKinnon, I'm one of the GPs here, and I've been here 34 years. My wife and I came for 3 months, and we're still here 34 years later because we love the place. It's not a closed community, it's a very open community, so people come into this town and immediately they're made welcome. We now have 9 resident doctors in Crystal Brook providing services, and we can still provide obstetric services, anaesthetic services, emergency services. And I think the local population really value that. We have people coming into this town to retire. The farmers who have been out there living their lives, providing those essential agricultural services, now have a place to retire into. And we're very proud of that aspect of it, that they feel confident that they can age in this community and still have medical services available. We hear so many negative stories about country towns not being able to attract doctors, but not many people come to Crystal Brook and say, well, why have you got 9 doctors in your town? The whole town tends to be focused towards solving problems and promoting our town and making it a safe and beautiful place to live in.
I'm a part of the local Apex Club. We get together, we've got some land that Grainflow give us, other people within the community provide us the use of their land. So we take in turns which farmer sows the crop, we reap the crop. I guess the net of that goes back into the community, so whatever we feel, whatever project we feel is sort of most pressing within the community, we'll try and either do some work in kind or contribute funds towards that project. To keep building on the community and what we've got. So we've certainly got a few things in the pipeline at the moment, and certainly contributed to things within the hospital, the Wallachra home and those sorts of things.
According to the 2016 census data, more than 1/3 of the town participates in some sort of volunteering, double the state average. These volunteer groups provide the facilities and activities for families and people from the region to connect and support one another. Crystal Brook established one of the first successful regional women's football competitions, with girls participating from as far away as Port Augusta and Orroroo. This was further enhanced through the development of a purpose-built unisex change room and facility at the local oval. Another example of the value of agriculture to Crystal Brook was the reinstatement of the agricultural show, the 143rd, after a 2-year hiatus because of COVID.
Our show involves people from all forms of agriculture, from broadacre cropping, livestock shearing, farm machinery and sheepdogs. It promotes and encourages the youth of the area, encouraging them to take an active role in promoting agriculture. Our Rural Ambassador program has proved very successful in getting the younger generation involved and ensuring a prosperous future. The shearing section of our show is an excellent example of our community working together. From local volunteers to sponsors to competitors, it not only proves excellent entertainment on show day, but it encourages this much sought after essential skill, and this has a trickle-down effect on our farms and the prosperity of Crystal Brook.
St Mark's Boarding House first originated in 1986. Boarders came from the Flinders Ranges, Mid-North, the Clare Valley, Jamestown Way, but as time moved on, they came from all over the state.
Certainly noticed a lot of young farmers returning to our area, which has been a real positive. I think what has helped with that has been education facilities in the area. So St Mark's College has their agricultural centre, McNally Farm. Joel Head, an ex-Crystal Brook resident, was heavily involved in the establishment of the Ag Skills Centre at St Mark's College. The foundation of the centre, I remember a lot of surrounding farmers donated livestock to get the livestock part of the centre up and running. I remember going in and hosting crop walks with the students. The St Mark's Agricultural Centre hopefully shows students that there is a future career in agriculture, whether that be studying down in Adelaide and maybe one day returning home, or to roles that they're already suited to straight out of high school, such as apprenticeships at local businesses.
Throughout year 11 and year 12 at school, I actually started a school-based apprenticeship with Pringles Crouch here in Crystal Brook. They were kind enough to put me on as a school-base, which was fantastic.
We committed to employing probably at least 2 or 3 apprentices every year with the size of the workshop now. We do that at the moment through school-based apprentices, and we find that that's a really good pathway as far as getting them involved with us, but also if they don't have to go away from home, it's a lot easier step to becoming a technician. Being in Crystal Brook allows Pringles Crouch to be able to have a much quicker response time for customers. There's a lot of investment now in equipment that's out in the paddock, and when it's time to go, that equipment needs to go, and that response time gets to be pretty crucial at crucial times of the year.
Got a pretty heavy role at the Crystal Brook Football Club as the under-17s coach there. But yeah, other than that, like to involve myself in a lot of the sporting communities around the area. Oh, it's a fantastic little town. I mean, a town with 2 pubs and a pretty good community is fantastic. Got a great sporting community as well, with a hockey club, swimming club, football, cricket.
Agriculturally, like any farmer that wanted to come in with a road train, it's accessible from December. 24/7, no one in their way. It's got a lane purely for trucks. That's saving them on time.
The nature of precision ag now is that it's a combination of business houses that have a role in it. We're talking about data-driven decisions on farms, and there's several agricultural businesses in Crystal Brook that have a critical role in bringing that all together. So the farm machinery companies have a major role in their technology and their machinery to collect information. We have a role in processing and analysing that information. The agronomic community have a role in interpreting and making a decision about what needs to happen on farm, and then it's back to the machinery companies to employ that and implement that decision on farm. So it is a collaborative thing, and I think that fortunately for the growers in Crystal Brook, all of those things can be brought together in one location.
We're always having to innovate to remain sustainable while being profitable. So a big part of that with our business is our Verus pH testing machine, which Tom and Henry have been operating. So the Verus testing machine tests the pH of the soil.
Farmers in Crystal Brook have been pretty innovative by nature, and there's a lot of farmers around that have been at the forefront of all sorts of things from right back from agricultural bureau days. They were instigating new practices and things like that.
Women have more opportunities because of the technology. It helps because we don't have the strength that it was needed in the past to do a lot of the jobs. With our great resources we've got at Crystal Brook, we don't really need them. Women can run farms and do whatever they want because there's so many resources to help out. Yeah, and as far as the equipment now, it's not heavy lifting. It's, can drive a truck with one finger. It's quite good.
Well, as far as the grain industry goes, there's lots of pathways even in our grain industry now, because now we're receiving more grain up to the two sites probably receive up to 250,000 tonne a year, and that's all got to be outturned. So there's a lot more permanent jobs for people to get employed permanently at one of our sites here at Crystal Brook now.
A company at our size now needed a full-time HR representative, and we had to pull that person from just outside of Melbourne, Victoria, who now lives locally, and brought their family. Obviously their whole family don't work directly in Crystal Brook, they're certainly regional, region Crystal Brook area, and that was easy for them to make that move because housing's affordable here. We have all the services we need in Crystal Brook. It's a great lifestyle. So take your $1 million mortgage, sell up, grab your $300,000 home and life's good.
It's an exciting time for Crystal Brook to be in agriculture.
The future of farming in the next 10 to 15 years will see us with robotic machines in the field that can be controlled by their mobile phone or from their computer at home. And essentially they'll have two farms. They'll have a digital farm and they'll have a physical farm. And for all of this to be successful will require input from machinery companies, agronomists, and hopefully businesses like ours that deal in the spatial data, because the whole system's going to be driven by information. So I think we have the cornerstones all here locally in Crystal Brook to allow our farmers to be the future growers of quality food.
Agriculture is essential to our community. It is the very backbone of Crystal Brook. The fact that our local Ag Show is the largest annual event is testament to this. It is our past, our present and our future. I think Crystal Brook is the most worthy recipient of the Ag Town of the Year. I can hand on heart say that Crystal Brook is a town steeped in tradition yet full of modern innovation, and I'm proud to promote such a wonderful place.
I'd like to see Crystal Brook awarded the Ag Town of the Year. We've got our 150th anniversary next year as a town. Agriculture was the foundation of the founding of Crystal Brook, and through the last 150 years it's been vital to the town's success. So I think it would be a crowning achievement for our town to be named the Ag Town of the Year.